Good morning, everybody. Welcome to McKinley Memorial Presbyterian Church. I am Heidi Weatherford, the pastor here, and it is fabulous to see all of you here this morning. Welcome if you're watching us online, and I'm glad to see all of you. Today is the annual reading of the Passion Narrative, and what that means here at McKinley is about 10 of us will get up in front of these microphones throughout the service and read the story of the last 3 days of Jesus' life. It's chaotic. It's, as Alonzo and I were discussing, it's planned chaos, and it's informal, and yet it's very powerful, and I am grateful to those who are reading this morning and always thankful for the depth of talent here in this congregation. But as we always do, we begin with some announcements. So if you have an announcement you would like to make this morning, come on up to the microphone and let's get started.
I think I caught everybody, but if you have an elementary or preschool kid, we are hanging around up here through the first Bible story about Palm Sunday, and then the kids are going to pass out palms, and then we're heading downstairs for our Easter egg hunt.
Okay.
You're probably aware we're having a brunch after worship, but I wanted to also tell you that the Kinship Coffee House is open today from 10 to 2. They're testing out some weekend hours, so if you want to stop and get a coffee on your way to the brunch, help yourself.
Please do come to the brunch. If you're unfamiliar with where it is, you can go right through these doors, follow people. There's an elevator and stairs to get upstairs in our dining hall. Also, I'll remind some of you, Nancy Stagg is getting rehab, going to go back to Brookdale, but there are cards in the back for people to fill out to be delivered to her. And also, somebody gave us some Easter cards. So if you know somebody you want to send a card to this week, there's some very cute, nice Easter cards back there. Please take them and send them to a friend.
You'll see on the table here these fish that the kids, the youth and children of McKinley, mostly children of McKinley, have been using to collect coins and money for the One Great Hour of Sharing offering. The One Great Hour of Sharing offering is one of the Presbyterian special offerings, and the proceeds from it go to 4 places: the Presbyterian Hunger Program, the Presbyterian Self-Development of People Program, the Presbyterian Disaster Assistance Program, and now I'm blanking on the 4th one. But these are fabulous programs designed to empower and educate and teach people and feed people, both in a manner that's ongoing, or especially in this case of the Hunger Program and the Self-Development of People Program, as well as to be there in times of emergency. And we collect stuff for the emergency fund all the time, but during this season in Easter, we especially collect for all 4 funds. So think about that. You can give using a check, you can give using Tithely, online donation. It's all helpful and welcome and wonderful, and thank you for participating in that. I invite you to join me in the call to worship. Here we prepare ourselves for the week that is holy, yet filled with unholy acts, words, and thoughts. In this week of journey, people lose their way. In this week of betrayal, others find hope hidden in their hearts. We will try to follow Jesus in the days to come, sustained by the word of grace and life. Joining the children, we wave palm branches with joy while keeping nails ready if we need them. The one who set aside glory comes in humility. The one who offers life will challenge death itself. Hosanna, Hosanna, blessed is the one who opens the heart of God to us. In this time in our lives where there is so little good news of peace in the world, we light candles representing our hope for peace, our belief in peace, our prayers for peace. And so I invite you at this time to come forward and light candles representing your prayers for peace. And if you have an offering that you would like to drop the old-fashioned way, the offering collection box is here and in the back, and you may do that at any time. Let us give of ourselves, our lives, our offerings, and our light.
come here. Matt, hey Max. Hey Max, will you come hold my donkey for me? Will you hold that for me? Will you hold that for me? It's okay, can you keep it up here? You want a palm? Okay, I'll trade you. Can you see this one? Okay, guys who are a little bit older, it's okay. Woden, Addie, what story do you think of when you see this? What is this? A donkey. What story do you think of in the Bible? Can you think of any time we talk about a donkey? Mary and Joseph and Christmas. Is it Christmas, though? Is Mary riding a donkey to have baby Jesus? So there's another story, and I'm going to read about it in a minute, that has a donkey. It also has a palm leaf in it. Do you guys have any idea what that is? What today is?
Palm Sunday.
Palm Sunday. Do you have any idea what that is?
I had it last year, but I forgot.
You forgot. That's okay. So I am going to read a version of the story from the Bible about what Palm Sunday is. Max, stay up with us because in a minute you get to conduct the choir, okay? Now, despite the warnings that the bad and powerful men were angry at him for teaching new ways to know God, Jesus decided to travel to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover festival, a great celebration about people escaping slavery across the desert with a man called Moses, and to continue his work of sharing God's love. The road was so long, so Jesus asked his friends to fetch him a donkey, just like the one his mother rode on when she traveled to Bethlehem on the night he was born. And as Jesus and the donkey traveled into the city, all the people came out waving palm branches. It's okay. By the candles? Then go get them. Palm branches and laying them down on the path. And the little children ran around the smiling donkey. And the mothers laid down old coats to soften the road. And the folks who had felt no hope in their hearts for so long looked at Jesus with his ragtaggle hair and his dusty feet and saw the love shine all around him and cried, "Hosanna, blessed is the one who comes in the name of God." All right, guys, go sit over there. We're going to hear the choir now.
Good morning. Ride on King Jesus became well known throughout choral and solo arrangements before becoming included in hymnals. During the last quarter of the 19th century, the spiritual was a favorite of the Fisk Jubilee singers on their tours to raise funds for Fisk University. Harry T. Burley actually adapted the spiritual and came up with probably the most famous arrangement that we know of. Enslaved Africans were captivated by the notion of having a king who was powerful enough that absolutely no one could hinder them. If Jesus could not be hindered, then they felt agency in their own lives as well, giving them hope. Some versions of the life-affirming song add, "He is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ, the first and last, no man can hinder him." Through the spiritual, interestingly enough, through the spiritual, though it appears in several African-American hymnals, there is no set version. This is the African-American spiritual, Ride on King Jesus. Featuring soloist Barbara Curtis.
So at this time, I invite you all to, I don't have an asterisk here, but if you would like to stand, let's stand and sing hymn 213, Hosanna, Loud Hosanna. And during that time, the kids are going to hand out palms, and you can wave them as you wish. And if you would like to carry your palm with you home, you're welcome to do that, or you could bring it over for lunch and add it to the decorations on the table. Thanks. Let's stand and sing. You may be seated, and the children are dismissed. And I'm not sure which way they're dismissed. That way. Sarah's back there. Follow Sarah. And at this time, I invite all of the readers this morning to come forward. We begin the reading of the Passion narrative according to Mark, with a reading actually written by Thich Nhat Hanh and adapted. So here is our introduction for the Palm Sunday, Passion Sunday narrative.
We come here today to remember a man.
A man who had dreams shattered.
Who needed time to think and pray, who knew he was likely to die for what he believed.
A man of extraordinary religious insight. A man who did die a cruel death.
On this day, we look at the cross and we remember the betrayal of friendship and the consequences.
The casual cruelty of Roman authority and execution, and how unreliable others proved to be in a crisis.
On this day, may we also remember that religious bigotry, cruelty, and unreliability are still a part of our everyday lives.
On this day, then, may we learn some new precepts for living.
Do not avoid contact with suffering or close your eyes before suffering.
Do not maintain anger or hatred. Do not say untruthful things for the sake of personal interest or to impress people. Do not live with a vocation that is harmful to humans and nature. On this day, we remember. It was 2 days before the Passover and the festival of unleavened bread. The chief priests and the scribes were looking for a way to arrest Jesus by stealth and kill him. For they said, "Not during the Passover festival, or there may be a riot among the people." While he was at Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at the table, a woman came with an alabaster jar of very costly ointment of nard, and she broke open the jar and poured the ointment on his head.
But some were there who said to one another in anger, "Why was the ointment wasted in this way? For this ointment could have been sold for more than 300 denarii, and the money given to the poor." And they scolded her. But Jesus said,
Let her alone. Why do you trouble her? She has performed a good service for me. For you will always have the poor with you, but you can show kindness to them whenever you wish. But you will not always have me. She has done what she could. She has anointed my body before its burial. Truly, I tell you, wherever the good news is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will be told in remembrance of her.
Then Judas Iscariot, who was one of the 12, went to the chief priests in order to betray Jesus to them. When they heard it, they were greatly pleased and promised to give Judas money. So Judas began to look for an opportunity to betray Jesus.
On the first day of unleavened bread, when the Passover lamb is sacrificed, Jesus' disciples said to him,
"Where do you want us to go and make the preparations for you to eat the Passover?"
So he sent 2 of his disciples, saying to them,
Go into the city, and a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him. And when he enters, say to the owner of the house, 'The teacher asks, where is the guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples? He will show you a room upstairs, furnished and ready. Make preparations for us there.'
So the disciples set out and went to the city and found everything as he had told them. And they prepared the Passover meal.
When it was evening, he came with the 12, and when they had taken their places and were eating, Jesus said,
'Truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me, one who is eating with me.'
They began to be distressed and to say to him, one after another,
'Surely not I.'
It is one of the 12, one who is dipping bread into the bowl with me. For the Son of Man goes as it was written of him. But woe to one by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for that one not to have been born."
While they were eating, he took a loaf of bread, and after blessing it, he broke it. He gave it to them and said,
"This is my body."
Then he took a cup, and after giving thanks, he gave it to them, and all of them drank from it.
"This is the blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many. Truly I tell you, I will never again drink of the fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new in the kingdom of God."
When they had sung the hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives, and Jesus said to them,
"You will all be deserters, for it is written, 'I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered.' But after I am raised up, I will go before you to Galilee."
Peter said to him,
Even though all become deserters, I will not.
"Truly, I say to you, this day, this very night, before the cock crows twice, you will deny me 3 times.
But Peter said vehemently,
Even though I must die with you, I will not deny you.
and all of them said the same.
They went to a place called Gethsemane, and Jesus said to his disciples,
"Sit here while I pray."
Jesus took with him Peter and James and John and began to be distressed and agitated.
"I am deeply grieved even to death. Remain here and keep awake."
And going a little farther, he threw himself on the ground and prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass from him.
"Abba, God in heaven, for you all things are possible. Remove this cup from me, yet not what I want, but what you want."
Jesus came and found them sleeping, and he said to Peter,
"Simon, are you asleep? Could you not keep awake 1 hour? Keep awake and pray that you may not come into the time of trial. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak.
And again Jesus went away and prayed, saying the same words. And once more he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were very heavy, and they did not know what to say to him. He came a third time and said to them,
Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? Enough! The hour has come. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up. Let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand.
Immediately, while he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived, and with him there was a crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying,
The one I will kiss is the man. Arrest him and lead him away under guard.
So when they came, Judas went up to Jesus at once and said,
Rabbi.
And Judas kissed Jesus. Then they laid hands on Jesus and arrested him. But one of those who stood near drew his sword and struck the slave of the high priest, cutting off his ear.
Have you come out with swords and clubs to arrest me as though I were a bandit? Day after day I was with you in the temple, teaching, and you did not arrest me. But let the scriptures be fulfilled.
All of them deserted him and fled.
An excerpt from The Cure at Troy by Seamus Haney. Human beings suffer. They torture one another. They get hurt and get hard. No poem or play or song can fully right a wrong inflicted and endured. To the innocent in jails, they beat their bars together. A hunger striker's father stands in the graveyard dumb. The police widow in veils faints in the funeral home. History says, don't hope on this side of the grave. But then, once in a lifetime, the longed-for tidal wave of justice can rise up, and hope and history rhyme. So hope for a great sea change on the far side of revenge. Believe that further shore is reachable from here. Believe in miracle and cures and healing wells. Call miracle self-healing, the utter, self-revealing double take of feeling. If there's fire on the mountain or lightning and storm and a God speaks from the sky, that means someone is hearing the outcry and the birth cry of new life at its term.
They took Jesus to the high priest, and all the chief priests, the elders, and the scribes were assembled. Peter had followed him at a distance, right into the courtyard of the high priest, and he was sitting with the guards, warming himself at the fire. Now the chief priests and the whole council were looking for testimony against Jesus to put him to death, but they found none. For many gave false testimony against him, and their testimony did not agree. Some stood up and gave false testimony against him, saying, "We heard him say, 'I will destroy this temple that is made with hands, and in 3 days I will build another, not made with hands.' But even on this point, Their testimony did not agree. Then the high priest stood up before them and asked Jesus,
Have you no answer? What is it that they testify against you?
but he was silent and did not answer. Again, the high priest asked him,
Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?
I am. And you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of the power and coming from the clouds of heaven.
Then the high priest tore his clothes and said,
Why do we still need witnesses? You have heard his blasphemy. What is your decision?
all of them condemned him as deserving death. Some began to spit on him, to blindfold him, and to strike him, saying to him, Prophesy. The guards also took him over and beat him.
While Peter was below in the courtyard, one of the servant girls of the high priest came by. When she saw Peter warming himself, she stared at him and said,
You also were with Jesus, the man from Nazareth.
but Peter denied it, saying,
I do not know or understand what you are talking about.
And he went out into the forecourt, and the cock crowed. And the servant girl, on seeing him, began again to say to the bystanders,
This man is one of them.
but again he denied it. Then after a little while, the bystanders again said to Peter,
Certainly you are one of them, for you are a Galilean.
but Peter began to curse, and he swore an oath.
I do not know this man you are talking about.
At that moment, the cock crowed for the second time. Then Peter remembered that Jesus had said to him,
Before the cock crows twice, you will deny me 3 times.
and Peter broke down and wept.
Allowables by Nikki Giovanni. I killed a spider, not a murderous brown recluse or even a black widow. And if the truth were told, this was only a small sort of papery spider who should have run when I picked up the book. But she didn't. And she scared me. And I smashed her. I don't think I'm allowed to kill something because I am frightened.
As soon as it was morning, the chief priests held a consultation with the elders and scribes and the whole council. They bound Jesus, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate.
Pilate asked him, Are you the king of the Jews?
You say so.
Then the chief priests accused Jesus of many things.
Have you no answer? See how many charges they bring against you?
But Jesus made no further reply, so that Pilate was amazed. Now at the festival, Pilate used to release a prisoner for them, anyone for whom they asked. Now a man called Barabbas was in prison with the rebels who had committed murder during the insurrection. So the crowd came and began to ask Pilate to do for them according to his custom. Then he answered them,
Do you want me to release for you the king of the Jews?
For he realized that it was out of jealousy that the chief priests had handed him over. But the chief priest stirred up the crowd to have him release Barabbas for them instead.
Then what do you wish me to do with the man you call the king of the Jews?
Crucify him.
Why? What evil has he done?
So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, released Barabbas for them. And after flogging Jesus, Pilate handed Jesus over to be crucified.
I invite you to join me in the prayer of confession. God of mercy and compassion, we confess to you the hardness of our hearts and the failings of our community. We turn away from your mercy and mistreat each other. Forgive us and heal us. We deny your faith and distrust one another. Forgive us and heal us. We reject your love and ignore those who seek out our help. Forgive us and heal us. We disobey the call to give and cling to possessions. Forgive us. We misuse your gifts to us and abuse your creation. Forgive us and heal us. We turn away from strangers and live selfishly. Forgive us and heal us. We trust in violence and ignore the call of love. Forgive us and heal us. We are afraid to be changed and envy the gifts of others. Forgive us and heal us. We avert our eyes from the pain of the world and despair of the possibility of making a world of peace and dignity. Forgive us and heal us. Lord Jesus, you welcome yourself into our lives when we are least prepared to receive you. As you embrace your betrayers, so embrace us who struggle to live as loving people in the world. Restore us to our right minds and give us your peace. Turn us to following the way of your life. Create in us clean hearts with your tender grace. Forgive us. Give us the will and the determination to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly here and now. Amen.
Then the soldiers led him into the courtyard of the palace, that is, the governor's headquarters, and they called together the whole cohort. And they clothed him in a purple cloak, and after twisting some thorns into a crown, they put it on him. And they began saluting him.
Hail, King of the Jews!
They struck his head with a reed, spat upon him, and knelt down in homage to him. After mocking him, they stripped him of the purple cloak and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him out to crucify him.
They compelled a passerby who was coming in from the country to carry his cross. It was Simon of Cyrene, the father of Alexander and Rufus. Then they brought Jesus to the place called Golgotha, which means the place of a skull.
And they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. And they crucified him and divided his clothes among them, casting lots to decide what each should take.
It was 9 o'clock in the morning when they crucified him. The inscription of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." And with him they crucified 2 bandits, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by derided him, shaking their heads and saying,
"Ha! You who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself and come down from the cross."
In the same way, the chief priests, along with the scribes, were also mocking him among themselves and saying,
"He saved others, he cannot save himself. Let the Messiah, the King of Israel, come down from the cross now, so that we may see and believe." Those who were crucified with him also taunted him.
When it was noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. At 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out with a loud voice,
Eloi, Eloi, sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me?
When some of the bystanders heard it, they said,
"Listen, he is calling for Elijah."
and someone ran, filling a sponge with sour wine, put it on a stick, and gave it to him to drink, saying, "Wait, let us see whether Elijah will come to take him down."
Then Jesus gave a loud cry and breathed his last. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. Now when the centurion, who stood facing him, saw that in this way he breathed his last, he said,
"Truly, this man was God's son."
There were also women looking on from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, the younger, and of Joseph and Salome. These used to follow him and provided for him when he was in Galilee. And there were many other women who had come up with him to Jerusalem.
When the evening had come, and since it was the day of preparation, that is, the day before the Sabbath, Joseph of Arimathea, a respected member of the council, who was also himself waiting expectantly for the realm of God, went boldly to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus.
Then Pilate wondered if he were already dead, and summoning the centurion, he asked him whether he had been dead for some time. When he learned from the centurion that he was dead, he granted the body to Joseph.
Then Joseph brought a linen cloth, and taking down the body, wrapped it in the linen cloth, and laid it in a tomb that had been hewn out of rock. He then rolled a stone against the door of the tomb. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, Jesus, saw where the body was laid.
Once again, I invite you to join me in prayer. Let us pray. God of pity and love, return to this earth. Go not so far away, leaving us to evil. Return, O Lord, return. Come with the day, come with the light, that we may see once more across this earth's uncomfortable floor the kindly path, the old and living way. Let us not die of evil in the night. Let there be God again. Let there be light. Let us commend ourselves to the care of each other and to God. Please stand as you are able. In God, source of life, our deaths are not the final word. Our moments of crisis are part of eternal possibility, and our weakness is taken up into the courage of God. As followers of Jesus of the way, our humanness is touched with divine life. Our tears are mingled with longing love, and our solidarity with those who suffer is joined by divine presence. In the spirit of creativity, there are no boundaries on the dream. There is no end to hope, and we will never live beyond the cherishing of God. And so now, as you go forward to finish the day, may you follow with God's love. May you embrace hope and light, and may you be peace for one another and for the world. And as we go, may God bless the meal we are to take this afternoon. May God bless our lives throughout this week. May God move our hearts so that we can continue to be faithful children of love and light. And all of God's people said, amen.